Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Froza, and you probably still see the viewers that are still in Erupt. So, hi, it's me again. After like almost 5 hours of having to do something in between. So this is Castlevania, Order of Ecclesia. I'm going to run not the main character for this game, which is Shanoa, but instead I'm going to play a more balanced character called Albus, and you will see immediately why this game is actually pretty fast. And yeah, I should actually really rename it. Let's make it like that, I guess. Name does absolutely not matter. There's like no conversations. There's absolutely nothing. It's just like hopefully like under 30 minutes of pure gameplay. Also, there is a goal that I have set for this run. Is I just don't want to die. But my current experience with this game for like the last 7 or 8 years, yeah, it has never happened, and it will probably never happen. Anyways, yeah, I guess I will start the run in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, yada yada yada, the story doesn't matter. Yeah, and we can immediately start the game. And the first thing that you notice is like, hey, why is he teleporting all over the place? So, since this is a DS game, we have the funny feature of the touchscreen, which in that case is used for mobility. And in that case, yeah, he just teleports around and does all funny stuff. But yeah, usually like the main movement that we do is either backdash canceling into a jump, or we just use the teleport with our touchscreen. So you will probably notice that I will sometimes furiously hit the touchscreen, which is absolutely intentional, of course. But yeah. So the pathing for this game is very simple. Like the gameplay is very linear in comparison to most of the Metroidvanias, since Order of Ecclesia is stage-based. And so basically we're just going from place to place and defeat the bosses and go to the next area. Anyways, this is the very first boss. We're going to shoot him a couple of times and do a fiery kick, and yeah, that's all the boss already killed. Crazy, right? Anyways, so for every level up that we get a little bit extra MP that we can use. And after killing the very first boss, we can use the teleport up to 3 times per full bar. So yeah, again, very, very linear in the beginning. So what is the thing about what's so crazy about this run? Of course, like with all of the coordination that I have to do by using the normal control pad and the touchscreen at basically the same time. The boss fights are actually not that problematic in the beginning, at least, but there will be a couple of places where we actually have to be a little bit careful. Especially like the later stage boss fights, where they can take up to 1 or 2 minutes, depending on what boss we're fighting. Anyways, so this is a water base area. We are not gonna touch the water, of course, because that's slow, and we just don't want to be slow, right? Usually we have to wait a little bit until the MP bar is filled, but yeah, it's a little bit dicey sometimes. Also, important to note is, even though like it looks like very simple and like very like you have a lot of variety that you can do in this run, like pretty much every movement up until a very specific point is like completely set. So like if I do something wrong, and then like anything else goes wrong. And yeah, that was also a boss fight, by the way. As I said in the beginning, yeah, it's mostly just movement itself which is important. The boss fights, again, they have a very simple pattern in the beginning. Usually we use basic attacks, and then we use blaze kicks and other skills. Yeah, I haven't talked about like the attacks that Albus can do, and for a very simple reason. Usually, like, micromanaging every skill that you can do can be quite difficult at times, since like he has a very limited moveset, but like how the strings work together can be a little bit spicy. Also, I will do a safety save here because there is an enemy coming up that can actually one-shot us, so we just keep it safe, right? Again, as I said before, in those 7 years of running this game, I have never managed to do a deathless run. Usually they don't die very early on, but yeah, better safe than sorry, you know. Anyways, Lighthouse is a very short area that just has a boss called Brachyura. As you may see right now, it is a very vertical area. And the reason for that is Brachyura starts all the way at the bottom, and we have to deal like a certain amount of damage to him until like he hits a threshold, and then he will turn red and try to destroy the ceiling. So in the beginning we start with an optical shot and mech shot as well, which is like those little bullets that you see, those two colored ones. That is the optical shot, and the big one is called mech shot. Very convenient naming, I guess. Okay, so when we did enough damage, he doesn't go for an attack immediately while he's green, so he just turns red and tries to destroy the ceiling, which is the thing that we want him to do. And after he destroyed the ceiling, we immediately start attacking him again with optical and mech shots, and just to get a little bit of invincibility frames, we are also going to do a blaze kick upwards, which I will, by the way, refer it as like 10 different skills at one point, because there is a name for this attack, but I usually use fire kick, blaze kick, or the flamenco dance move. I know, right? I'm very creative with names. Okay, so same thing applies here. We do optical shots into max shots, and after doing that, we're good to go. And now we just need to wait until it destroys this last ceiling, and then we will just move all the way up. And then there is a funny thing happening. If you're like a little bit sensitive of blood, you may want to look away for the next 15 seconds. And of course you kind of want to watch it anyways, right? Because that's pretty much like the most brutal death in the entire franchise, I feel like. Anyways, I hope you weren't hungry. So now we're going back to the Catalyst channel, but we're going to do the underwater portion. So since we're underwater, we cannot really maneuver around it. And in that case, there is like legitimately no point in backdashing, because it doesn't really save any time. So might as well just walk and then use the teleports that we have available. Yeah, okay. So sometimes there are monsters that randomly spawn, just as those blue squids. There's not much we can do about here, so kind of have to deal with it. And if we get hit again in the beginning, absolutely doesn't matter because we can just walk around and we don't die from it, which is like pretty good at least. Anyways, Tamio Mountains, that's the first place that we can realistically die if we do a misinput. So I will wait here until those I have like my MP filled up. And here's the point where I can die if I do a misinput. And we actually managed to do that. And now we have to wait because I messed up the movement a little bit. As you can see, like, again, it is pretty much routed to like every small kind of MP optimizations. And yeah, it's... So like if I mess up, yeah, usually it's like very hard to recover. Not that it really matters too much anyways in the beginning. So yeah, this is another area that we just traverse. There's like no boss fights going on. There's only this giant scary guy, but we can just go behind him and then just not deal with him. Also yeah, by the way, this game has voice acting, of course. I mean, you could basically hear it in between those "you can hit me" and optical shots and that kinds of stuff. Okay. Anyways, so Skeleton Cave, a very spooky stage. Would not recommend, except if you have calcium issues, which you usually shouldn't have if you do your nutrition correctly. And yeah, this section, very simple, nothing much to worry about. So this is the Man-Eater. We start up with an optical and a max shot, into an optical, into a blaze kick, and then sometimes we have to do a max shot at the end, but we didn't have to do that, which is pretty good. Okay. Anyways, now we have to escape this place again, because there is like no secondary exit. Like in the very first area, the monastery. Okay, so this is a very important upgrade. So everything usually costs MP, except for 2 moves, which is the Blaze Kick. That one costs 3 hearts. And Torpor, which we are not going to use, because it's legitimately useless. And I am not going to show it off, because it's not really worth the time, trust me. Yeah. Otherwise, like, we pretty much use everything at our disposal. So yeah, after this water section, we heal up here, it's safe. So this is Rusalka, and Rusalka has like a very in-depth strategy where we just use our basic attack until it dies, you know. Also referred to as the Cyber Demon strategy. And yeah, I actually have to pay attention. This fight is very boring, I know, but I should actually pay attention, because I die in 3 hits if I don't do anything. Anyways. Yeah, very simple fight. You usually just have to dodge them. And now we do that thing. This is a little bit of a sketchy room. If you do it wrong, then you will get hit by one of the starfishes, and then you will get poisoned. And poison is a very bad status to have in most of the Metroidvanias, because it halves your damage instantly. Even worse is if you get cursed, because since this game is like basically dependent on all movement abilities besides like the backdash and like the basic walking animation is tied to your MP. So we don't want to get cursed here, which we didn't, which is nice, because otherwise this costs around a minute or 2. Alright, this is Goliath. Goliath is the first very scary fight in the game. He has a couple of moves that just one-shots at this point. Okay, so whatever he does, we usually weave basic attacks into optical shots, which we are doing now, and we're trying to buffer the optical shots in between the basic attacks as much as we can. And also, we're also doing some little bit of a defense movement tech with the backdash canceling into basic attacks. So the thing is with ooh, that was a little bit dicey. I will heal up here. Whew. Okay, so as I mentioned before, so the basic attack, so you can pretty much cancel any movement besides the blaze kick with your backdash, and it's used to just launch our attacks way faster than we're supposed to. Otherwise, like for every special attack, like optical or max shot, you have to wait like 2 or 3 seconds, which we kind of want to avoid. Anyways, this area, yeah, we have giant skeletons. He has been degraded to just a regular enemy, which is funny. And again, we can just basically ignore it. Alright, this is a cursed room. The reason for that is there are 3 ectoplasms in this room. They just spawn somewhere in this entire room. And the problem is, depending on where it spawns, it's not optimal movement that you can do here. So, and if you're sometimes too fast or not careful enough, you will get hit and you will be cursed, and then yeah, you have to do the climb without the teleport ability, which we kinda want to use. Anyways, Oblivion Ridge. This is another area with the boss, and after the boss, we're just going to exit from the main entrance. Because at the end, there is absolutely nothing for us that we can do. Again, since this is a marathon run, I will do a safety save here. Not that this boss fight is particularly scary for Albus, simply because you can pretty much dodge anything. You can manipulate them a little bit if you want to, but we try to avoid as much risk as possible. Again, we start up with optical into a max shot, into a blaze kick, and whenever he appears like that, we alternate between optical and max shot. And whenever he swims into the middle of the pillar, we just use a blaze kick to the left or to the right, depending on where he spawns. Best thing that he can do is like he just repeats this cycle, where we can just optical and max shot into it. Worst thing that can happen is he can't destroy those pillars in the middle, and that's very slow. Because first of all, we cannot hit him as much as possible with our optical and max shots. That was a perfect fight, absolutely. Whew, okay. Yeah, so if he destroys those two pillars in the arena, he will do a very slow attack where he moves from the left to the right, and there's like nothing that we can do about it. And then we also have to wait until the animation is finished, even if he's killed during that attack. Our Aguila Swamp tracks home, of course. We just avoid everything by just flying over it. The only sketchy room is this one. Sometimes there's this dragon right here that can just randomly spawn inside your way, and if that happens, it's not a big deal actually. I don't know why I say it's scary. Again, it goes a little bit out of the flow with the usual movement that we're supposed to do here. Anyway, Mystery Manor. This is one of the first two places where we can get an ending, but for Albus mode it doesn't exist, right? And here's where we're going to start to do flamenco strategies. And what I mean with the flamenco strategy is we're just going to use the blaze kick in the corner. And I have to be a little bit careful here that I don't do the blaze kicks too early. Otherwise I will get hit and he kills me in 2 hits if that happens. That was a good fight overall. Alright, okay, so after doing a couple of blaze kicks, we're pretty much done with like the first portion of the game. There's one more boss called Barlow. Explaining those fights usually takes longer than the fights are actually supposed to happen. So, anyways, so we're saving here and not do a blaze kick. Not that it really matters at this point. Okay, so Barlow. Barlow, we usually switch between basic attacks and the optical shot. And whenever he moves upwards, we do a blaze kick. Like that. Yeah, okay. Now I missed that one, but that's fine. So he has a variety of spells that he can use. The best ones that he can do is he can do this one, Glaciers. Because that's like the attack that where he just basically doesn't do anything. And this is the worst attack that he can do. Also, I tried to do something fancy here, but it didn't work, of course. Alright. Whew, okay. That was a little bit sketchy, to be honest. Okay, I will heal up here. There's a save point that I will get later. So now that we defeated all the regular areas, that's where the Metroidvania actually starts, which is the castle. And our objective here is to kill 3 bosses. And the 3 bosses that we're going to kill is Eligor, Blackmore, and Death. Obviously, Death has to be in this game, right? Okay, so we save here. Again, just for safety purposes. Usually this area is not that problematic. Also, this is the best track in the game, but we're not gonna hear it quite a lot. So this is the HP max upgrade. This ensures us that we don't die one hit on the next boss. So it's just a little bit safety that we're going to do. You can skip this, but usually runners don't do that. Yeah. Anyways, so this area, I just realized I didn't have any. I don't have any hearts. That's a little bit bad, actually. Okay. Yep, that's where I have to improvise. I forgot an upgrade here, which is super important. Okay, anyways, I will just grab an MP up, and then I will do save. There is a warp, I think, right? Yeah, okay. We will do a small detour into the town and get the hearts needed for this fight, because Blackmore, oh boy, this is a runner's nightmare. Okay, we go back. And then there's a save point further down there that we're also going to take, because that's usually where runs die. If I do something completely wrong, that's, yeah. Anyways, Blackmore, usually I want him to not attack immediately, but I want him to move a little bit to the left. Like that. And if he does that attack, that's perfect, because then I can just use a Blaze Kick into Optical. Whenever he does that attack, the first thing that he does is he tries to hit us with his claws, and then we turn around, use the Blaze Kick, and weave Optical and Blaze shots in between, and that somehow worked perfectly fine. I don't know how, but that's usually like the boss that gives me the most trouble in this run. So I am very glad that this is over. And also, you may have noticed, this is also where like the bosses actually start to become very problematic. Mostly because, first of all, they hit like a truck. Second of all, there's like no insta-kill button that you usually have when you would be playing Shanoa. I know it's not an insta-kill button, but yeah, it's like funny video game with like very imbalanced threats and so on and so on. Anyways, so this is the arms area. That's just like pretty much like a hub world for like two other areas. First one is the clock tower, and the second one is arms depot. Anyways, so again, some more teleporting around, and a very important warp coming up here. If I don't grab this one, you will lose like a bunch of time, like at least 2 minutes, because then there's a detour that you have to do to get from the arms depot to the clock tower. Okay, so clock tower is like the actual very first dangerous area where we can just simply die by touching the spikes. And also, you may have noticed I actually have to walk around, like teleport around the spikes. So the thing is, like, this game is coded pretty well when it comes to like cheesing the game. I mean, yeah, so you can still take those shortcuts, you know. But like, if you try to teleport through spikes, yeah, you will have a very bad time. So I will teleport down there, use the Blaze Kick just to not get hit by that guy. Sometimes the second eyeball can just move a little bit early, which is a bad thing to happen, so we just try to dodge that. Okay, now this area, again, very simple. That one, we just don't teleport all the way forward, and especially in this room. So these swords have individual hitboxes. So like, if you get hit by 3 of them, then you will also die. So, pretty good. Anyways, so this is Eligor. This is like a 4-part boss fight, technically. Technically, by saying we're just not gonna bother with the very first 3 phases. So I want him to attack us right there, and then I will move up and get onto his back. And then we will switch between optical, max shots, and basic attacks. Basic attacks are the things that I want to do. And also, we are very precarious that you are not staying in the middle or like all the way to the left. Also, this boss has a little bit of a hitbox issue that sometimes you just can get clipped by it if you're standing on a bad spot. And then you fall all the way down, and then you will get hit multiple times, and then you will usually die. So, we're a little bit careful here, but that boss fight was amazing. Pretty much like all the boss fights have been really good. Yeah. Anyway, so this is the second boss that we dealt with in the castle. The third one is Death. Death is like one of the bosses that is a little bit RNG dependent, unfortunately, since as like most of the DSvania Death fights, they have random sickles, and then yeah, you will get hit by that, and it's bad. And yeah. Okay, so this is a very dangerous room. I should have not gone for that, but somehow I did not get hit by the spikes, which I'm very glad that it didn't happen. Same for this one here. Usually you get hit by a Medusa head, and I actually got hit by the yellow Medusa head. If you get hit by a yellow Medusa head and you're landing on the spikes, you're dead. There's nothing you can do about here. Okay. Alright. This is safe. And now this is Death. Alright. So Death, we pretty much use everything but the basic attack. And the thing that we want him to do is we actively want him to use his attacking moves and not just fly around. Because as you may have noticed, if he does attack, his sickles don't spawn, which is usually a good thing. And yeah, sometimes those sickles just can't spawn into you. Also, since he's a flying enemy, he can just also fly into you, and that does a buttload of damage. So we have to be very careful here to not get clipped like that. And as you can see, like, if something bad happens in this, usually you can dodge it, but like again, if he would have spawned a little bit further to the right, then it would have been super bad. But hey, we managed to do it. Okay. Alright, so this is the final boss. And yeah, now we just have to go to Dracula's throne room and defeat the bad boss once and for all. Like in the other 20 games that from this franchise. You know, as usual. Okay, so here I wait a little bit until like the MP bar is full, and then I will just teleport all the way to the end. And then here I have to be a little bit careful because those skeletons are a little bit annoying to deal with. And the troll does like around 100 damage, I think, or something like that. Anyways, again, safety save. Son of a bitch. Okay, I actually need to have full HP for that section. There are two enemies coming up. Those are like Black Knights, and the Black Knights we kind of don't want to get hit by them. Again, here I'm also not teleporting all the way, simply because there's those imps. The imps don't do that much damage, but if you get hit by their melee attack, yeah, you will do uncontrollable movement, and we don't want to deal with that, you know? Anyways. So we teleport here, and then get this hard up for Dracula, because we need those for a very dangerous threat that we're going to do. And a good friend of mine, Diagon, refuses to do that strat for one simple reason. So the first thing that we're going to do in phase 1 is we're going to do optical into max shot, and I'm going to do a backdash into a fire kick. If that happens, usually you have to do it a little bit earlier to actually hit him. And if you don't, if you're a little bit too early, you will get hit, and you will die in 3 hits, I think. So he will always do a cycle of the Flame Attack, the Dark Inferno, and Fatal Ray. Yeah, that was a little bit too early, as you can see. Like, I just... Next time I get hit, I will die. Okay, so if he is all the way to the left or all the way to the right, I will just not bother with him and do a up jump into a Blaze Kick. Okay. Alright, so... Okay. I have to be a little bit careful here, because he can switch into the second phase at this point now. So I didn't deal enough damage, which is completely fine. But he will probably do it after this. So he will do a very illegal move by just walking. And if he walks, that's okay. He still does touch damage, and yeah. Now he can do a variety of things. He can either do just walk, and that's a bad thing if that happens. Oof, okay. Usually you want him on the screen. So like you can actually dodge stuff, and you don't want him to trigger that attack. Especially because of that. Ah, unfortunate. I immediately knew when I went for the flame kick that it wouldn't work out. Anyways, as I mentioned before, there has never been a run where it has been deathless. So I will do a little bit of a safety strat because I already lost like 2.5 minutes or something. But yeah. Yeah, the reason why there has not really been a deathless run is first of all, I'm going for like absolute like the craziest strats, which usually runners of a marathon should not do. Like the backdash into Dracula, you should never do that. Anyways, so we have to do phase 1 over again, and now he starts spawning all the way to the left or to the right. And then, yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate when that happens. Okay, that was good. Okay. I think he will switch into phase 2 after this one. Okay. Whew. Okay. I will focus up here a little bit, so. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and if he launches an attack, that's usually a very bad thing. So we just try to stabilize a little bit. Ooh, that was a little bit too early. Holy. Okay. Oh, okay, that's time. Oh boy, that Dracula fight was something spicy. Oh my god, what was that? Oh wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Deathless run didn't happen, but look, I don't care. I don't care at this point. Like, after this Dracula fight, I was just happy that it was over. Actually, what was the time? It was
probably a
32, yeah, as I imagined. Usually, like when a death happens, it's a 31 or 32, depending on where you die and whatever. Anyways, there's actually just the credits rolling. We did defeated Dracula. We are all happy, and now we all go to bed. Right, right. Okay. There's nothing much I can say. Again, first of all, shoutouts to the Castlevania community, especially like the Order of Ecclesia community, which consists of like no runners at the moment. But yeah, you know who I mean. They will probably watch the what though. They're like usually like very night owly. And other than that, yeah, thanks for letting me having to do this game. There's a little bit of meme going on where a very incident happened at an on-site marathon with this game where I was basically not allowed to run this anymore for like 3 years. So no, I'm glad that I could show it off again. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and as always, make sure to stay hydrated and kiss your homies goodnight. Mwah.